Yeah, okay, I'll stop it. They've got sockets.
कई वीडियो रख दी तब लिफ्ट आउट नहीं लेता हां वीडियो लिफ्ट आउट ये कोडियां ने थोड़ा वेट कर यार ना वेट
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. How are we all doing today?
Good.
Woo, your enthusiasm bowling me over. Almost knocked me off my feet up here. Send me over the side. Alright then guys, now before we get going, I've just got to give you all a very quick, very simple safety briefing. Now welcome aboard the Autumn, that's the vessel you're travelling on today. The vessel is fully crewed by well-trained staff, or else we wouldn't be here. And we've got enough life jackets aboard for each and every one here, and enough lifeboats to keep us all afloat if anything should go wrong. We're in constant contact with the PLA, which are the Port of London Authority, the RNLI, which are the lifeboats, and the River Police. So if anything does go wrong, just pay attention to myself and the other members of the crew, and we'll get you out of here safely. Have we got any questions or anything, guys? No? Your silence is golden. Alright then, well it's a little bit of a tradition on the Thames for us watermen to give you a bit of a guided commentary as we go up and down the river. Would you like me to do that? Who said that? Was that you? I'm doing it just for you, love. Alright then guys, well starting where we're starting, have a look over on your left hand side, you can't miss it, not unless you can't see through that camouflage paint. We've got a nice grey warship over there, it's the HMS Belfast. Now the HMS Belfast, she was commissioned in 1938, just before the outbreak of the Second World War. And she was built by the Harland and Wolff Company in, you guessed it, Belfast, where she got her name. It was the same company, believe it or not, that built the fateful Titanic. And she was the fastest light cruiser of her day. She managed all of 32 knots, believe it or not. And she had 12 6-inch guns that could shoot a shell up to 14 nautical miles away. She was also the first Royal Naval vessel to have radar. It's a very impressive ship for her day. Now over on the right hand side, this white stone building here is what's known as the Customs and Excise building. The entire UK, Customs House it's called. So all the dodgy fags, all the dodgy cigarettes, all the dodgy drugs, they're supposed to take them in there, and they're supposed to have a massive incinerator, and they're supposed to burn it all. But I'll tell you what, guys, I've been working on this river now for many, many moons, and I never once seen any smoke coming out of them chimneys. I have heard, however, it's supposed to have some fantastic Christmas parties in there. If you have a look over on your left-hand side now, and you crane your necks up all the way to the sky, you see the tallest building in Western Europe. It's what's known as the Shard of Glass, and she stands over 1,000 feet tall, 1,017 feet to be precise, and it costs around £25 to go to the top of it. If you have a look on your right-hand side, that building just disappearing from view. Looks a bit like a walkie-talkie. 20 Fenchurch Street is the address of that building, and it's completely free to go to the top of. All you need to do is bring a form of identification, your passport, driving licence, etc, etc, and they'll let you up there, even if you look as gruff as me. Now, if you have a look on your right-hand side now, guys, just in the gap in between the two buildings there, you'll see a tall white stone column with a little golden ball sat on top of it. Well, that's what's known as a monument, and it's a monument to where the Great Fire of London started, all the way back in 1666. Now, that monument, it stands 210 feet tall, which is the exact same distance as that monument stands from the original site where the Great Fire started, in Pudding Lane, in a bakery, apparently, is where it's happened. Now, this bridge that we're passing underneath now, guys, is London Bridge. And it's not the first London Bridge, it's actually the 5th London Bridge. The first one was built by the Romans over 2,000 years ago, and there's been a bridge on this stretch of the river ever since. The last one, though, it was sinking into the Thames, so in the 1960s, they actually took it down, brick by brick. And believe it or not, they managed to sell it. They sold it to an American fella who decided to rebuild it, brick by brick. And it still stands in the Arizona desert today in a place called Lake Havasu, if anyone's interested. Now, over on the left-hand side now, ladies and gents, you've got a tall ship over there, a pirate galleon, just sat over there in dry dock. Well, that's a replica. It's a replica of Sir Francis Drake's ship, the Golden Hind. Sir Francis Drake, he was the first man to circumnavigate the globe. He went all the way around the world. But believe it or not, that boat over there managed to do it twice. So it's actually considered a far more seaworthy vessel. Now, I did just find out last week, guys, they're actually signing a petition now online to go and do it a third time. So if you do fancy spending about a year and a half in squalid conditions at the bottom of a boat, then be my guest. You'll be a much braver and most likely a much smellier man than me. Now, over on your left-hand side, just in front of the Golden Eye, you've got a couple of disused wharves there. You've got Pickford's Wharf, and just in front of it with a scaffolding is Winchester Wharf. Now, wharf stands for warehouse at river front, and those would have been commercially operated buildings until very recently. Until about 25 years ago, they would have been full of very gruff-looking men working their socks off. But now they're full of a very different type of man. The type of man that doesn't know the meaning of work, but he can still afford a £2 million property on the bank side. Very different type of man indeed. Now, this bridge that we're coming up to now, guys, it's not one of London's most famous nor interesting bridges, but we are here, so I will talk about it. It's Cannon Street Railway Bridge, and it does have the distinction of being the 6th railway bridge to ever span a river. It was finished in 1849, and it's been stood here ever since, as I'm sure you can tell. Through the bridge now, guys, if you have a look over on your right hand side, this barge sat up against the wall. Well, just behind it is what's known as Warbrook Wharf, and that's the last operational wharf in all of central London. It actually deals with about 85% of all of London's rubbish. Each one of those containers on that barge there, they reckon is equivalent to 2 to 3 lorry loads full, because it's highly, highly compacted. Now, over on your left-hand side, though, there's something far more interesting. We've got a pub over there on the bank side. Now, it's not just any old pub, though, guys. It's the Anchor over there. The Anchor is one of the oldest pubs in all of London. It's over 450 years old, that pub. and it's actually got a little plaque inside commemorating the fact that William Shakespeare and his pals used to go into that pub, up into the attic, to get changed into all their silly costumes before they did their plays. And again on your left hand side you've got a black glass building with an FT atop it there. Well, that's the Financial Times building, but it's also the site of William Shakespeare's original Globe Theatre. Now this bridge that we're passing underneath now, guys, is Southwark Bridge. Now there are many interesting bridges in London, but this isn't one of them. Boring old bridge is. But as we come out the other side of the bridge, there's something very interesting. Over on your right hand side, this white stone building here is what's known as Vintner's Place. Now all of the alcohol that comes into the country, it has to be taste tested before it gets put on the shelves of your local shops. Yeah, I see a few of your eyes light up there. Well, that's where they do it, guys. They actually get paid to get drunk for a living. Now I have been applying for a job there for the last 5 years, but they haven't got back to me yet. I'm not sure why. But just ahead of yourselves now, guys, on your right hand side, you'll be able to see a stretch of the bankside there that's not been built upon. Now it's not been built upon because it's listed land, it's illegal to build there. It's what's known as Queen Hive Dock, and that's actually the point where we believe the Romans to have first set foot in London all those years ago. Over on your left hand side now, if you look just past the pier, you see a round white building with a straw thatched roof. Well, that's a complete replica of William Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. Now the man who designed and built that replica, it actually took him 17 years to get planning permission, because those straw thatched roofs have been illegal in London since the Great Fire of 1666. Now the original Globe Theatre, it did burn down, but it didn't burn down in the Great Fire. It burned down because Shakespeare decided he wanted the sound effect of a cannon in one of his plays. So he used a cannon in one of his plays, and when he shot it, it misfired and burned the whole place to the ground. Clever man was Shakespeare, at least that's what they keep telling me. Now just ahead of yourselves, the next bridge we're about to come up to is a Millennium Bridge, but it's known by us Londoners as the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. And that's because 3 hours after she was opened in the year 2000, the police had to come and shut her down again because she was swaying about 6 foot side to side. Now Sir Norman Foster, the man who designed and built the bridge, well, he come on the television. He come on the television to explain himself. And he was quoted as saying, "There's nothing wrong with my bridge. It's just the way that Londoners walk." Norman Foster, guys, very popular man in London. Tell you his address if you like. Over on your left hand side now, we've got the old Bankside Power Station, or as it's known today, the Tate Modern Art Gallery. So modern art's your thing, get yourself in there, it's completely free of charge. I don't know why. And you can see such wonderful pieces of art as the unmade bed, the tin of beans, or even the chopped up cow. Now there's a funny little story come out of there. About 2 years ago, a man went into the Tate Modern and his wallet fell out of his pocket. Well, he came back there about an hour and a half later. No one had stolen his wallet, no one had handed it in. There was just about 40 people stood around taking photographs of him. Tate Modern, ladies and gents, what a wonderful place. Now we're on your right hand side, this is the new City of London School. Now I only know 2 facts about this school. Number 1 is that Daniel Radcliffe, Mr Harry Potter, he used to go there. And number 2 is that it costs £17,500 to send your child there per term. Not per year, guys, per term. It's about 70 grand a year. But just behind the City of London School on your right hand side, I've tried to wait for the best view, but you've got St Paul's Cathedral over there. And St Paul's Cathedral was designed and built by Sir Christopher Wren, and she stands 365 feet tall, 1 foot to symbolise each day of the year. But she's only got 6 feet of foundations under the ground, so it's actually a very unstable building. It's also the second largest freestanding dome in the world, just after the one in St Peter's Basilica in the Vatican in Rome. And just ahead of ourselves now, ladies and gents, this next set of bridges we're about to come up to are the Blackfriars set of bridges. This first one here is the Blackfriars Rail Bridge. Now its only claim to fame is that it's actually one of only 3 railway stations on a bridge in the entire world. That's why you can see some miserable looking souls up there. Now the other ones are in Moscow and New York, but our one was first. Not to rub it in or anything, it just was. It's also one of the greenest railway stations in the world. That funny looking roof on top there, guys, is actually all solar panels, believe it or not. As we start to make our way through the Blackfriars set of bridges, you'll notice in a second that there's actually 2.5 bridges here. Just ahead of yourselves, you've got some red plinths on your left and right hand side. Well, those red plinths, they're the remainder of St Paul's Railway Bridge. Now, St Paul's Railway Bridge was actually sinking into the Thames. So in the 1970s, they took it down. But the Thames is a mud-based river, so the engineers were afraid that they pulled these plinths out of the water, the other two bridges would just sink straight into the void. And this last bridge here is the Blackfriars Road Bridge. Now, if you have a look on the battlements on your left and right hand side, just before we go under the bridge, you'll see some statues of birds on them there. Well, those are freshwater birds, and as you come, those are saltwater birds. As you come out the other side though, guys, if you look on the battlements, you'll see some freshwater birds. And that's because this is the point where the Victorians believed that the freshwater from upriver met the saltwater from downriver. Now, if you have a look over on your right-hand side now, ladies and gents, you'll see a white stone building with a green slate roof. Well, that's the old City of London School. Now, this most famous pupil was Sir Winston Churchill, and he managed to last all of 2 years there before being kicked out for fighting. He did a damn sight better than me. And again, on your right-hand side, you've got a red-bricked Gothic-style building there. Well, that's what's known as the College of Zion, and it houses all of Queen Victoria's handwritten diaries. But more famously than that, it's actually got the first Bible ever to be written in English. And once more, on your right-hand side, sorry to crook all your necks there, ladies and gents. If you look on the bank side, you'll see a load of lions' heads. Well, those lions' heads, they weren't just put there for decoration. They was actually put there as a flood warning measure by a man named Sir Joseph Bazalgette during the Victorian period. Now, the Metropolitan Police, they were told to patrol up and down the river, and they were told to look for the water to be lapping at the lions' mouths. If they saw this, they were told to contact the underground, completely shut it off, and then evacuate along either side the banks of the River Thames. Now, as watermen, we've got a few sayings to help us remember this fact. Number one is that if the lions' heads are drinking, then London is sinking. Another famous one goes like this, it goes, if the water goes up to the lions' manes, then London shall go down the drains. But by far and away the most popular one with us watermen is that if the lions' heads are ducked, you can see where I'm going with this, London is well and truly, completely flooded. Flooded. Don't sound right, that, does it? Over on your left-hand side now, ladies and gents, you've got a red brick building on the other side of the river. It's called the Oxo Tower for obvious reasons. Now, the Thames, though, the Thames is a royal highway. It's actually illegal to advertise on the banks of the River Thames. But Oxo, the very famous British gravy company, well, they've done it in a rather cheeky way. They've actually built their sign there into the structure of the tower. So if you go up there with a hammer and whatever other tools, and you try taking it down, the old tower will just collapse in on you. It's very cheeky what they've done there, guys, and they've been getting away with it now for about 120 years. Well done, Oxo. Over on your left-hand side, once more, those who are native to our shores will recognise immediately Studio 8 building this morning, where they filmed this morning and a bunch of other live television at all times of the day. So if you do want to be on live television, guys, then give them a little wave as we go past. And if you're with anyone you shouldn't have been with, I'm very sorry. I probably should have told you to look away 2 minutes ago. Not a very nice person, me. Over on your right-hand side, though, guys, on the bank side there, you've got a stone archway. Well, that stone archway there is what's known as Temple Archway, and it signifies that we've just about left behind us the City of London, and we're just entering the City of Westminster. And the City of London, just behind us, is actually one of the smallest cities in the world. It's only 1 square mile, and it operates under a completely different set of rules and regulations than the rest of the country. That's why all the bankers live and work there. And this ship on your right-hand side, this large white one, is the HQS Wellington, the headquarters ship Wellington. And she served for the Royal New Zealand Navy during the First and Second World Wars as a frigate and a livery ship, respectively. But she's been sat here now since 1973 as a drinking club. But that's not any old drinking club there, ladies and gents. That's actually the club of Master Mariners. To be a member of that club, you need to have been a captain at sea for at least 25 years. It's a very, very exclusive club, guys. Me and the skipper are never setting foot in there. Over on your left-hand side, now, if you look to the other side of the river there, you catch a lovely glimpse of the National Theatre. Now, I do say lovely glimpse, but it is the building over there that looks like a car park, and it's also the building that was voted Britain's ugliest. The National Theatre was voted Britain's ugliest building by none other than Sir Prince Charles, and he knows a thing or two about ugly things. Happy with it today. Over on your right-hand side now, guys, just slightly ahead of yourselves, you see a large white stone building with a little green dome on top there. Well, that's what's known as Somerset House, and it used to be the place where they held all of the birth, marriage and death certificates of every single person in the country. They used to refer to it as the Hatcham, Matcham and Dispatcham Centre. But now it's home to a fancy art exhibit and an even fancier hotel. I've heard it costs around £10,000 a night to stay in the top suites of the hotel. But I've also heard it does come with a full English breakfast in the morning, 2 sausages and an egg. So it's very good value for money round this neck of the woods. And just ahead of yourselves now, ladies and gents, this next bridge we're coming up to is Waterloo Bridge, but it's otherwise known as the Ladies' Bridge because it was built by a staff of over 80% women. It was finished in 1945 during the Second World War, while all the men were away fighting. Now, believe it or not, it's actually the only bridge ever to have been built on the River Thames to come in on time and under budget. Well done, the ladies. Now, you notice on the outside of the bridge it looks rather clean, but on the underside of the arches it's not the same story, it's a bit mucky. Well, that's because the bridge is built out of a very, very expensive material known as Portland stone. It's a self-cleaning stone. So every time it rains in London, which is every other day, the bridge gets a thorough cleaning. And just to put it into perspective for you guys, the only other buildings I know to be built using Portland stone are St Paul's Cathedral behind us and Buckingham Palace ahead of us. It's a very, very expensive material. If you look on the button on your left-hand side as we go through, you see a small hole with a green hose coming out of it. Well, that leads to an explosive chamber. As I said before, the bridge was finished during the war, so they actually built explosives into the battlements of the bridge because they were afraid if the Nazis ever did invade London, they'd be able to walk all over our brand new bridge. And another bit of useless information for you guys, did you know they built an extra 8 bridges on the River Thames during the war? Go back again, just a little bit quieter this time. But they built an extra 8 bridges during the war, not for anyone to walk across or drive across or anything silly like that. It was to confuse the, It was to confuse the Germans as they flew overhead because they used to use the river to navigate their planes. Hey. Alright then guys, now over on your left-hand side now, you can see the Royal Festival Hall. It says it right here on top of the building. And the Royal Festival Hall is home to some of the best studios in the United Kingdom, and it's played host to many famous greats. Many famous greats like Frank Sinatra. Old Blue Eyes, he's played there, sadly not with us anymore. Jimi Hendrix, he's had a go there, screamed his guitar out in there, and he's sadly not with us anymore. Even Pavarotti, the Iron Lung, bellowed his old lungs out in there, and he's sadly not with us anymore. So we're just waiting on the Justin Bieber concert now, and we should be alright. Just ahead of ourselves now, ladies and gents, the next set of bridges we're about to pass underneath are the Golden Jubilee wharf bridges which sit either side of the Charing Cross Railway Bridge. Now, it's actually the only time in the entire country where we'll be going underneath a railway line and going over the top of one at exactly the same time. We'll be going underneath the Charing Cross line and going around about 28 metres, I'm going to guess, 28 metres on top of the Bakerloo City line. come out the other side of the bridge now, ladies and gents. If you have a look over on your left-hand side, you can't miss it. You've got the London Eye over there. Now, the London Eye was put there in the year 2000, and it was only supposed to stay there for 1 year. It's managed to last all of 17 years now, because believe it or not, it makes around £500,000 per day during the summer months. They're thinking of changing the name to the Winter Fortune. And there are, excuse me guys, and there are 32 capsules on the London Eye, one capsule to signify each borough of London. Can you go on board there? Woo! You go on board there, the capsules are actually numbered, number 1 to 33, because they miss out the unlucky number 13. Now it takes 30 minutes to do a full circuit of the eye, 15 minutes up to the top, and 15 back down again, and it's become very popular in recent years for young couples to go and get married on there. Oh, what they do, looking at you. And what they do is they get on at the bottom and they pronounce their vows all the way to the very top there. And when they get right to the very top, they're pronounced man and wife. I've heard it's all downhill from there. Over on your right-hand side now, we've got another stone obelisk, this time with a golden eagle sat atop it. Well, that's actually a memorial to the Royal Air Force for their victories and their losses during the First and Second World Wars. Now, the eagle itself is actually made out of captured German artillery, and the beak of the eagle points directly to the beaches of northern France, Normandy, where we suffered some of our heaviest losses. And the tail of the eagle points directly behind itself to that white stone building there, just behind the trees. It's the Ministry of Defence building, Whitehall. Now, Whitehall is also known as the Iceberg Building because at least 2/3 of it is actually under the ground. And it has the distinction of being the place where Sir Winston Churchill held his wartime cabinet. That's the place where they run the country from, guys, during the Second World War. Over on your left-hand side now, that large white stone building on the bank side is London's old City Hall. It's where the old London Mayor and all of his mates, they used to get together. But now it's home to the London Aquarium, Shrek's Adventures, and a very famous Scottish restaurant, McDonald's. And just ahead of ourselves now, on your right-hand side, you've got the Houses of Parliament, haven't you? Now, a lot of people probably think that they're looking at Big Ben when they look over there, but I'm very sorry to disappoint you, you're not. Big Ben is in fact the bell hidden within the tower. The tower itself is known as Elizabeth Tower. It's named after our current Queen. So the only people who can see Big Ben are those with special permission. But Big Ben, the bell, did you know that it was named after a man? It was named after a man called Sir Benjamin Hill. He was the master of works during the building process of the Houses of Parliament. And apparently he resembled a bell. He was very short, very round and very loud. And everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they didn't name the bell after his brother, Richard. Now some of you will get that, and some of you never will. And some of you will wish that you never did. And we are just about to come alongside Westminster Pier, guys, and finish our portion of the journey. There's a couple of things to mention to you before we let you go. First and foremost, as I'm sure you all know, boats do not have any brakes, so we might receive a little bump as we come alongside the pier. So just remain seated or make sure you're grabbing onto the handrails. Make sure that you're protecting your property, but most importantly, make sure that you're looking out for yourselves. And one last thing to mention, guys, is the commentary we do is completely voluntary. If you'd like to show any appreciation towards myself and the skipper, you can chuck something in my bucket on the way off of the boat. All proceeds go towards myself and the skipper's research that we do at the many pubs and bars that dot the banks of the River Thames. So I can assure you, all proceeds are greatly appreciated. Now that's all from me, guys. You've been an absolute pleasure. I do hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you and goodbye. Thank you.